Hey, family. Welcome back to my channel. This is Life of Interruptions with me, Pearl Osa, and I am hoping that you are already subscribed. And if not, I'm asking that you please subscribe to this channel, that you like this video, that you share it, and that you hit the notification bell so you know when I load something new. Okay, today we are going to be talking about the power of a woman and how it can be harnessed or misused. So stick around. Come away with me. Come away with me. All right. I made an observation in the Bible of a very, very powerful bunch of words that were said by very powerful men. They were said by kings. And these words were said on only 2 occasions. And those words each time were said to a woman. Powerful words said by a powerful man only twice in the Bible and said only to a woman. And these words were, "What do you want? You can have anything up to half my kingdom." And I began to think about how powerful a woman can be, that a man of such authority and power can offer her up to half his kingdom. This is profound because, in those days when you spoke about half my kingdom, you were not just talking about the palace. You were talking about the nation at large. You were talking about its assets. You were talking about its subjects, the people within the nation. You were talking about your cabinet and your government, right? You were talking about things that were growing underneath things that are growing out of the earth and the natural resources within the belly of the earth. You were talking about the spoils of war, and you were talking about conquered territories. That's what made up a kingdom. So for a man to have gained all of this through divine election, and then, have gone out and fought wars and conquered territories and brought home spoil, to sit surrounded by sages and wise men and advisors and magicians and heaven knows what else they had, who would give them counsel that would direct how they grew their kingdom, how they grew the economies of their kingdom. Just think Pharaoh and Joseph, right? And you have all of that, the sweat, tears, and blood of men, not only yourself, but your soldiers, your advisors, and schooled politicians. And you give, without thought, half of that to a woman. Now, these 2 women, the first was Esther. And Esther was a good, godly woman who had a calling upon her life to save her people from annihilation. She was called and she was placed in the palace for such a time as that. The other young girl, John the Baptist, was speaking truth to power, and this man had, acquired a wife in the wrong way, and he was telling him this shouldn't be. And so this wife was really not impressed. And so this girl was a dancer. In those days, equivalent to a pole dancer, a stripper, whatever you want to call them. And she had danced to the point that she had aroused the king and satisfied him so that he said, "Whatever you want, up to half my kingdom." And she got advice to ask for the head of John the Baptist. So one woman is asked, "Anything you want, up to half my kingdom," and she asks for the salvation of her people. Another one is asked, "Anything you want, up to half my kingdom," and she asks for the head of a prophet and an innocent man who told the truth. This continues to happen in our society today. Even if we step out of Bible times, till today, this is the power that a woman wields. I mean, if you look in Esther's particular story, the king had, it was said that if you come into his presence without being summoned, you could be killed. And it had been 30 days since Esther had seen her husband, and she took a chance and she got the boldness through prayer and fasting and getting her company of people to fast and pray with her. And she's uttered the word. She says, if I perish, I perish. She was willing to die for the good of her nation. And she went to the king. And as things, went on, and he said to her, what do you want? Even at that time, she did not respond immediately. She gave it some time, and she says, come to dinner. If you took that out, put that in our words, her invitation to come to dinner is what we do with the Lord when we're like, let me worship you before I begin to bring my list of supplications and petitions before you. And he asked on the second night again, and again she said, come to dinner. In other words, let me spoil you. Let me serve you. Let me give you what you want before I ask for what I want. And the only way that her request actually came to the fore was when, Haman became a threat. He was at this dinner, and the king was like, okay, what's the issue? And she says, my people are up for, to be killed, etc., etc. And he says, who is this person who wants to do this? And she pointed out that it was Haman, who happened to be at the table with them at the time. But she had the wisdom to bid her time, and she had the discretion to use that power for the betterment of her community. I am, as you know, a semi-finalist right now for Mrs. South Africa, and I did an interview earlier on today, hence the whole heritage get up. But in this interview, I was asked, what would you use the platform for? And I was very adamant that I want to use this platform to return power to women to be able to save the nation again, for them to take their place as they always have, to be the bedrock of society, to be economic powerhouses, be they widows, be they orphans, be they uneducated, wherever they find themselves in society, to get that power back, where they're able to use the ability to have someone say, what do you want? Up to half my kingdom, and you use that for the salvation of another group of people. That's for me is where we need to be returning to. Right now we've got women wielding this power, and they wield this power to the extent that they have grown men down on their knees. They have grown men. I know a story of a grown man who lost his job and lost so many things on account of a strange woman, on account of a woman who used her power to ask for his head on a platter, so to speak. And we have this power. Are we going to be like Job's wife who says, curse God and die? Or how are we going to use this power? Because in the home, we hear about leadership, and there is positional leadership, which is what the man has in terms of being the head of the home. And I don't want to get into a debate. There might be some of you watching this who, don't really buy into that, and you're very modern women, etc., etc. I happen to buy into it. And I find balance in my home, and I like the way that it operates. I like the leeway it allows me. I like the fact that it allows me to know, to exercise my power where my power is exercisable. And because I yield to that authority, I have a wide range within which to exercise my power. And this brings me to the power of the woman, which is, might not be positional, but she is the neck. And if a neck is not stiff and it is well connected to the workings of the brain, it is able to direct the head in a profitable direction. It is able to turn the head left or right in a way that is good for the head to see what it ought to see, as opposed to turning the head to what it should not see. I looked at these two scenarios, and I thought, these were two young ladies. One was an orphan. One was a pole dancer. This is the power of women. There's a club, a strip club in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, and the stories of lives of powerful men who have come into the country to broker major international deals, who got undone at those establishments, because in those establishments are, high level prostitutes who are paid by, the competition to bed these men, to confuse these men, to get information from them, and to basically change the deal between the sheets. Before the man even gets to the boardroom, the negotiation is finalized, and he has no clue who he's dealing with. He has no clue that he's dealing with a high-powered spy. He just thinks it's one night of pleasure. This is the power we have in the things we can say with our tongues, the things we can think with our minds, and the things we can do with our bodies. And we are either going to make up our minds to be power for good or power for evil. We're going to make up our minds to be women who build, women who grow, women who encourage, who develop, who sustain, women who use that power to save our people, save our children, save our generation from sure annihilation that is awaiting them in this generation. Or we are going to be women who use that power to get the heads of the innocent put on platters. There are many politicians today. There's one we know of who used to be a minister, and a minister in government, guys, at parliament level. And he was caught with a sex tape situation where he had been sending a picture of his erect and stimulated private parts to some young girl, and with sexual innuendos, telling her what he wanted her to imagine, places he wanted to put this. This thing cost him his respect in the nation. It cost him his place in politics. And he has never quite recovered. How did he get there? Who floored him? A woman. A strange woman. So I think that the debate needs to move away from, I'm not submitting to any man. I don't believe in submission. No man is the head of me. There's no leadership, such leadership. It's 50-50. It's equal in my home. That is not the point. That's a redundant conversation. If you knew the power you had, you wouldn't even be getting into that conversation. You need to know, and I said this last time, that you not only have power, you are power. And explained that power, or dunamis, or virtue, as described in Proverbs 31, a woman of virtue who can find. That virtue is the same word for dunamis, which Jesus said he felt leaving him when the woman with the issue of blood touched the hem of his garment. That power is described or defined as the wealth of nations and the force of an army. So I'm saying to you that a man would fight wars, would, go through elections, go through all sorts of power tussles to attain a seat, be it in government or in a conglomerate, an institution. And he's now sitting at the head of his game, and he can be taken down by a woman who does not have the pedigree, does not have the constituency, does not have the education, does not have the networks, does not have the power, the lingo, could not fit into the boardrooms he fits in. She is seen as powerless. All she is a woman, and all she has to offer, as far as he's concerned, is her body. But she offers that body, or she offers counsel, or she offers comfort, or she offers succor and nurturing, to the extent that a man can look at her and say, what do you want? I will give you 50%. We're not talking about divorce that has forced him now to come to a 50% agreement and settlement. He is saying, just in the heat of the moment, that I will give you 50% of everything that it took me, my brains, my connections, my hard work, late hours in the office, strategizing, negotiation skills, my Harvard degree, my wealth, to get. I will give you up to 50% of that. You are able to acquire half. Are you getting the point of what I'm saying? You are able to acquire half. The question is, will you use that half? Whatever it is you acquire, whatever your half is in this season. For me, I'm hoping it'll be a crown. For you, it might be a degree. For you, it might be shares in a company. Whatever it is you're hoping to be your 50%, are you going to use that to require the head of the John the Baptist of your generation on a platter? Are you going to use that to save your people, your family, your nation from annihilation? I know of many women who have been set up to bring destruction. And I know this is a sensitive topic because when we talk about ministry and men of God, especially in today's age, there are so many of them who are abusing young girls and old women alike, who are manipulating them, who are robbing them blind of their financial wealth, really representing the kingdom of darkness under the guise of being men of God. I get that. But the flip side that we don't talk about a lot is women who are categorically sent and are on a mission to come in and pull down, be it a CEO, be it a pastor, who position themselves as sexual bait, that if you just bite on that bait, you are finished. Here is a flip side to this situation. The scripture says that the strange woman's house leads to hell, that many who have visited her have found themselves at the gate of hell and did not know it, and have lost their lives. It goes on to say that she reduces you to a loaf of bread. That becomes your worth, right? If you indulge with a strange woman, you are reduced to the value of a loaf of bread. And I keep saying to people, bread is what is used to determine where the economy is at any point in time. Because when things are good, you would say, back in the day, a loaf of bread, we could buy Albany for like 5 rand. Today we're buying Albany. I don't buy Albany anymore, but I mean, I don't know what it is. So let's say somewhere between 13 and 15 bucks. You guys tell me, do the math. So you've been reduced to the determining factor of the poverty line. I know many great men who through adultery with a strange woman gave away their half spiritually, unknown to them. And unfortunately, this half does not just belong to you. It belongs to your children. It belongs to your children's children. Hence, a good man is one who leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so it's important that these good men, if they exist and where they exist, and I know that they do, must be surrounded by good women, that when they give their half, they are giving it to someone who has the multiplier effect in her womb, that she will take a seed and she will multiply it, so that it is not lost. It is not wasted on the beheading of the saviors of our generation, that it's used to save, a whole generation, but that it's used also to make an investment into the future of that family, of that man and his posterity. So, this thing just hit me and I was just like, I'd never seen this and I didn't want to dwell on it alone. I wanted to share. So thank you for listening. Do drop your comments in the comment box. And as I said, could you please share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us again when we share something new. Concerning the Mrs. South Africa journey, I trust that you are voting, please. To do so, please SMS Pearl OSA, Pearl like diamonds and pearls, OSA like OSA, to 35959. We are heading for the top 25 judging in the month of November, and your votes could really make a difference. Number 2, you could like my picture on the Mrs. South Africa Facebook page. You have to like the Mrs. South Africa Facebook page for your votes to count. Do follow me on Instagram. It is no longer Life of Interruptions. On Instagram, it is now at Mrs. Pearl Osa. Okie dokie. It's been fun. Love you much. Love you plenty. God bless you.